Greetings and salutations, everybody. Rad Dreams here. Welcome to Rad Dreams Review. As always, welcome to the channel. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe so that way you know when these videos do go live. And I know I've been a little sporadic with my uploads lately. That's because I just got back from a pretty devastating health injury. So I'm happy to report I am, on the road to recovery, and I am almost back to 100%. So hopefully that happens sooner rather than later. And today is going to be pretty awesome because we finally did it with the Digimon trading card game. We actually went undefeated in a local tournament, at my local game store scene that does, in-person tournaments. This isn't the first time I was able to get first place. However, this was the first time I was able to go undefeated. So, this video is basically going to be about the deck that I used, as well as the matchups that I encountered, and what you as a player can expect to run into right now during the meta. So with that out of the way, let's get into the deck profile, okay? So here are our babies, just one Upamon, and then 4 copies of the Demi-Vmon with the inheritable of when attacking once per turn. If this Digimon has jamming, you trigger that draw 1. Super useful card with Imperial Dramon, Dino Beamon, Pyul Dramon, Vmon, Frigimon. It's just crucial to have 4 copies of him. And then Upamon, just to round off the babies for 5. This seems like the best ratio in terms of the babies when it comes to Blue Imperial. Highly recommend doing that. Now, I bet you're all wondering what deck that I used for achieving the first place finish in the Digimon TCG. Actually, it's a deck that I piloted before. It was Blue Imperial Dramon, of all things. 3, vanilla Elecmon to start off with. Then, we also have 3 level 2s. Not level 2s. 3 level 3s of Elecmon and 3 level 3s of Gomamon, both of which are vanillas with a hard play cost of 2 and a Digivolve cost of 0. These are really useful for choking your opponent, as well as, just kind of hard playing when you want to choke. So, they're cheap Digivolve cost, so can't ask for anything more than that. Then we've got 4 of the Vmon with jamming. You gotta have 4 of him. It's an absolute necessity. He is a absolutely broken rookie. Best level 3 in the game. Hands down. Need to have him. No comp. And then to round off our rookies for a total of 14, we've got the other Vmon, which has the inheritable on your turn once per turn. When this Digimon becomes unsuspended during your main phase, you trigger draw 1. And this does come up, especially if you have Imperial Dramon, or if, you've got XVmon on top of something and you need to unsuspend, and, that will trigger that draw effect if you're trying to, fish for cards or whatever. So that'll do it, actually, for the rookies. I think this is a really good ratio, 14. I don't think I would dumb it down to 13 or 12. I think 14 is the sweet spot. So, next, let's get into our level 4s. And this is where things get a little spicy a little bit. We actually only run 2 blockers in Grizzlymon. I'm half debating on cutting him for something else, but he did come up and he was very useful against the Rookie Rush matchup, which is a thing. So I think having 2 of him in the deck is just enough, because I saw him just when I needed to, and I didn't see him, when I didn't want to. I didn't see too much of him, if that makes any sense. Then we actually have 3 of the XVmon. I did run this deck before with 4 copies of him, and I felt that was a little overkill. So I think 3 is a perfect sweet spot for him. Then we actually have, this is where the difference is coming, 3 Frigimon with jamming. So he is really useful. He came up a lot actually in the tournament, and I think part of the big reasons why I went undefeated is there were at least 3 or 4 games where I kind of quote unquote bricked, and I didn't have any rookies. And luckily Frigimon was in my hand, so I was able to just hard play him for 4 and build up my stack. So in that way, he's super useful because he's not very expensive. The only downside is he does have 4,000 DP, so he is within the range of, Omnimon Alter S or, Volcanic Dramon. So be wary with that. Then finally, to round off our champions, or level 4s, we have 4 Gorillamon. And I think 4 is a perfect number for Gorillamon, to be completely honest, because that 1 cost evolution allows you to turbo into Imperial Dramon or Dino Beamon or Palul Dramon. It allows you to get to where you need to go as quickly as possible. And Gorillamon does that very well. And he also serves as a, choking mechanic when you want to give your opponent as little memory as possible. Especially if you are going first and you win that dice roll, towing costs, rock, paper, scissors, what have you. You evolve for free with your rookie in your raising area. Then you digivolve into Gorillamon for 1, leaving your opponent with just 1 memory. And that is fantastic. You can't ask for a better turn 1, in my opinion. So that'll actually do it for the level 4s. Next, the level 5s are pretty standard. I wouldn't make any changes to the level 5s or the ultimates. First things first, we have 4 copies of Dino Beamon. Obviously, you want to have 4 copies of him because he is a part of, the Imperial Dramon mechanic, where if you digivolve on top of him or Palul Dramon, you reduce the digivolution cost of Imperial Dramon by 2. Yes, by 2. Then, obviously, we have the boy himself, Palul Dramon, who has the absolutely broken inheritable. Let's bring it up here. When attacking, once per turn, if this Digimon has Imperial Dramon in its name, unsuspend it. It is absolutely bonkers. So I think I described the combo before, but we'll get into it after I finish the deck profile. So that'll actually do it for the ultimates, for the level 5s. Only 8. Next, we have our megas. And yes, I said megas. We have the boss monster himself, Imperial Dramon Blue, Dragon Mode. Gotta have 4 of him. He is the, boss of this deck. He's what you want to achieve. He is basically one of your main win conditions. And then for our tech cards, which I'm currently debating on, this is where I would make adjustments for any future tournaments. It's just, once I get into the matchups, you'll kind of see where I was coming from with including these in. So we actually have 2 copies of Puppetmon and 1 copy of Bancho Stingmon. These actually came up. Bancho Stingmon won me a game, and I'll kind of get into it after the deck profile on how he was able to do that for me and why I'm going to keep him in this deck no matter what. I think the only adjustments I would make would be these 2 Puppetmon for 2 Omnimon instead to evolve on top of Imperial Dramon for a kind of, win more condition or, a removal. So that'll actually do it for the Mega. Next, let's get into our Tamer cards. We only run 3 copies of Davis Motomiya. We want to run 3 of him and not 2 because a lot of times you want him out so that way you just start off with 3 memory. It prevents your opponent from choking you, and 3 memory is the absolute kind of sweet spot where you want your memory to be at when you run Imperial Dramon because of the Digivolution costs of Dino Beamon and Paleal Dramon and Imperial Dramon. So I think 3 is a good number for Davis. I don't think I would dumb him down to 2, but if you absolutely need to, 2 would be the absolute lowest I would go with him. 3, perfect. 4, way too much. So that will do it for the Tamers. And then finally we have our option cards. We have 4 copies of Hammer Spark because it's Hammer Spark, and enough is said right there. It's a great card, allows you to extend plays, and it also, if it's checked in security, it sometimes, shifts the momentum back to you and makes it your turn. That actually won me a game, and I'll kind of get into that. And then finally, to finish off the deck profile, we have 2 copies of Cocytus Breath from the starter blue deck. Very good option card. Return 1 of your opponent's Digimon to its owner's hand. Trash all Digivolution cards underneath that Digimon. And if it's checked in security, you activate its effect. Super good card. Highly recommend including it in your Imperial Dramon build. It is really good for removal. Won me many games. Big reason why I went undefeated, and big reason why I achieved first place in a previous tournament with this very same deck. It's just with this one I made some adjustments. So that'll actually do it for the deck profile. So yeah, that'll do it for the Imperial Dramon Blue deck profile that allowed me to get not only first place in my local game store's Digimon tournament, but it also allowed me to go undefeated, which is insane. First time I've ever been able to achieve that feat. So very excited about that. But the matchups were as follows. So round 1, I faced Green Sarismon, and I was actually a little worried about this matchup because sometimes it can be, 50-50, with that matchup. You really have to kind of outspeed Green Sarismon because once it gets to mid-game, it takes control. So you really, really, really have to be aggressive, and you have to build up to your Imperial Dramon as quick as possible, or just pressure them by, shifting to a sort of either rookie rush or champion rush strategy. And so what ended up happening in that first round is my opponent in the first match wasn't able to kind of get what he needed to, get going, if that makes any sense. There was a moment in the round 1 where he actually had to hardcast a Sarismon, and as soon as he did that, I was just like, oh, that's not good. And he gave me a lot of memory to play with, which basically steamrolled my advantage and allowed me to win the game pretty handily that first game. Second game was a little bit closer, not by much, but just a little bit. He did end up checking my security with a Bancho Stingmon, so he swung into my suspended Imperial Dramon, which activated Bancho Stingmon's effect, which is security check +2, and he increased his DP to like 16,000. So it was pretty commanding presence on the board. His first check, though, while he was at 1 memory, was a Hammer Spark. So yes, he did check 3 securities, but it did shift the momentum back into my favor, and I had a Davis out on the field. So I had 3 memory to play with. I had a Pyldramon in my raising area, so all I had to do was bring my Pyldramon up, and here's where the combo is. You swing first with Pyldramon, check his security, then, as long as he's not deleted or the momentum shifts back due to a Hammer Spark or something, you Digivolve on top of that Pyldramon with your Imperial Dramon, and he then gets unsuspended due to the effect of Imperial. Then you swing with Imperial, activate the inheritable of Pyldramon, which unsuspends Imperial. Then you swing for a 3rd time. And then at that point, that was game. So that was round 1. I won against Green Cerespawn 2-0. Next match was very interesting. Round 2 was against Ragna Zoo, of all things. Never played it against it before. However, I did see it top in the PPG qualifier tournament that happened very recently. And I was very worried that in this tournament that red-yellow control would be a thing. And I was correct. 2 people that were in the tournament were playing the red-yellow control. However, I did not face them. But this red Ragna Zoo kind of functioned similarly to that because it did run some yellow cards, especially Magna Angemon, I believe is what it's called. Or no, what the hell is that dragon thing called that's yellow? Magnadramon. Thank you. Sorry. Got a brain fart there. But you hardcast it, and then you recovery plus like 2 or 3 or some nonsense. I forget off the top of my head. But anywho, he ran some Patamons, and those were like some of the yellow cards. He also ran like Lightning Paw, which is interesting. He ended up winning game 1. There wasn't a lot I could do. He did have a response for a lot of things that I had going. It was close, but he ended up getting it. I was just 1 turn away from winning, but he just got there quicker. Match number 2 of this round, I was able to get it. Nothing really too crazy happened. It was pretty cut and dry how I was able to win. 3rd round, final round, it was best of 3. I did win, but it was very, very close. I was able to Puppetmon his Machine Dramon blocker, and then on a subsequent turn had enough memory to bounce something on the field on his side to his hand with Cocytus Breath, and from then I was able to just kind of methodically, win the match to 2-1, and then round number 3 we actually had a purple Mastemon deck, which was pretty interesting. I haven't faced against a purple Mastemon deck before, but this one wasn't really too difficult to combat against because I myself like to play purple and know how to play around it. So it was very cut and dry. I wouldn't really say it was close. Round 1 was very standard. I just was very aggressive and didn't let up on that aggressiveness. Then match number 2, same thing. I was able to just be very aggressive, control the board, and just kind of coast through that game. Then final round was actually against another blue Imperial Dramon deck. It was a mirror match. Their deck was a little bit different than mine. It was built with Leomon as well as Vidramon and 4 copies of Davis, which I found interesting. That one was close. It was. First match, I was able to get, wasn't really too close. Second match was close, but they ended up winning. They just were able to kind of control the board state and just deal with my threats as need be. I also did check a Cocytus Breath in their security, so that didn't help. And then final round, for the best of 3 of this last match, they just did not get a good starting hand, unfortunately, and didn't have the answers that they needed to respond to my threats. And ultimately, the third match of that round, it was pretty cut and dry, and we took the victory, 2-1. So we didn't lose a round. We did lose some matches, but ultimately we did go undefeated. It would have been nice to just go 2-0, just straight through, but unfortunately, we did, lose one match in the best of 3s. But ultimately, we took home the W, and that's what honestly matters most, and got us, the first place finish, undefeated. And I'm really excited about that fact. First time I've been able to do that, like I said. So yeah, that'll kind of do it for the deck profile as well as the matchups and kind of what you'll encounter in terms of the meta. Right now, it's very mixed. I was surprised I didn't face Shine Greymon because that deck is a thing and it's very popular. But luckily, I didn't have to face it. That match is very 50-50 with Imperial Ultramon. But enough rambling. That'll actually do it for today's video today. Make sure you do like, comment, and subscribe to the channel so that way you know when these videos do go live. And with that out of the way, I do hope that you guys stay safe out there. And above all else, I do hope that you stay rad.